My name is Adele Greedy-Vogel. I'm a freelance interpreter and I work for Auslan Connections. So both my parents are profoundly deaf and Auslan users, and I identify myself as a Big C coder and an Auslan user. And I think that's mainly because deaf culture was quite central to my world, like particularly in my childhood. Like I went to the Roberta Reid Centre, connected with the Thomas Patterson School in New South Wales, before moving to Toowong State School up in Brisbane to go to the bilingual program there. So Auslan was quite, central to my world growing up. I guess I would probably start from where I originally started working, and that was in early childhood. So I guess I never really expected to become an interpreter. I really loved my profession. And I found that throughout, working in early childhood, I was teaching Auslan and I wanted to integrate Auslan into what I was teaching, etc., etc. And I eventually got recruited as an educational interpreter, I think because of that mix of having Auslan skills as well as coming from an educational background. And I worked as an educational interpreter for a few years and thought I ought to get qualified. So I did my diploma of interpreting here at Deaf Services last year before becoming NAATI qualified a few months ago. So yeah. There really is no typical day working as an interpreter. Most of the time, the jobs that I get through Auslan Connections are educational of nature, medical, performance-based, or can be supporting a deaf person socially. So it could look like, interpreting a lecture, going to a hospital to help facilitate conversation there, and then going to interpret a comedy skit. So yeah, there really is no typical day. I think the thing that I enjoy most is the flexibility. The fact that every day is different, and also that every day you have an opportunity to learn something new. I think because of the nature of the work, you often find yourself in situations where you're learning new terminology, or you're learning new educational content, or you're learning new, Shakespeare scripts. So that's what I really love most about the job. So for me personally, I still consider myself quite a new interpreter, but if I were to go back and give myself some advice, say a year ago, I would probably say to sign is one thing, but to interpret is a different thing entirely. It needs a different skill set, different knowledge, and a different way of interacting with people, which can be quite challenging, but of course rewarding. Yes, absolutely. For the reasons I said earlier about why I love the job so much, I think it offers a lot of flexibility, and it really gives you the ability to pursue what interests you, which I think is fantastic. So yes, I would absolutely recommend it. I learnt Auslan as my first language, so I guess I learnt it as anybody else does in the home. But I think what was most interesting was coming to Deaf Services to go through the Diploma of Interpreting, because I learnt a lot more about the language than I ever had before. I learnt what things were called, why you signed things in certain ways, and I guess we're quite fortunate that we get to go to school and we learn English and we learn about grammar and structure, and I never had that opportunity with Auslan. So to come here and learn was really fantastic.